The doctor said she had 3 days left. Her husband smiled like he'd just won the lottery, and that was the moment Vandra St. James realized. Dying wasn't her biggest problem. I share new life stories here every day, and I would really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and liked my video. Now let's jump back into my story. I'm sure you love it. If you keep listening till the end and tell me from which part of the world you are watching this story, I am interested to know. How far away this story travel? Vandra had never liked hospitals. The smell of disinfectant scraped at her nerves, and the steady beeping of machines felt like time itself ticking too loudly. Still, age had a way of dragging you back into places you swore you'd avoid. What began as dizziness and shortness of breath ended with her sitting in a stiff chair at University Medical Center, clutching her purse while nurses called names over the chaos of grief and urgency. Drayton? Her second husband insisted on a private room. He said it was because they could afford it, because she deserved comfort. Vandra didn't argue. The truth was, all that comfort the brownstone, the lake house. The savings had been hers long before Drayton entered her life. He had stepped neatly into a life already built, and for years she'd told herself that was fine. After a certain age, peace mattered more than pride. The tests came fast. Blood work, scans, long waits staring at ceiling tiles. By the third day, Vandra could feel the heaviness in the doctor's voices even before they spoke. When Dr. Perrin finally sat down with her and Drayton, his words landed like stones. There was a tumor. Surgery was possible, but risky. Without it, she had maybe 3 days. 5 at most. Silence swallowed the room. Vandra felt strangely calm, as if her body had already accepted what her mind was still unpacking. Drayton asked practical questions too. Practical probabilities, outcomes. What made sense when the doctor left to give them privacy? Drayton squeezed her hand and told her not to think negatively. He said doctors like to scare people. His words sounded right, but something underneath them felt off. A faint hum she'd never noticed before. That night, long after visiting hours, Vandra woke to a presence in the room. Drayton stood near the sink, his face half lit, wearing a smile that didn't belong to him. Finally, he whispered, leaning close, "I've been waiting on this. The house, the money, everything you got will be mine real soon. Just rest. Don't struggle." For a moment, Vandra thought she was dreaming. Then the meaning settled in her chest like ice. This wasn't grief. This was relief, anticipation. When he left, she lay there hollowed out, staring at the wall. Years of marriage rearranged themselves in her mind. The kindness, the patience, all of it suddenly felt like an investment waiting to mature. A while later, the door creaked open again. A housekeeping woman stepped in quietly with a mop and bucket. Her name badge read Quanah Rollins. She worked efficiently, eyes down, pretending she hadn't heard anything, but Vandra knew she had. "Quanah," Vandra called softly. The woman startled, then approached. Her hands were rough, her eyes tired in a way that spoke of long nights and short paychecks. "If you do exactly what I ask," Vandra said, her voice steady despite the fear clawing inside her, "you can walk away from this job forever." Quanah frowned, confused and wary. Vandra explained quickly, plainly. About the diagnosis. About her husband's words. About not wanting a lifetime of work handed to a man counting down her death like a deadline. "I need a mobile notary," Vandra said. "And I need it done without my husband knowing." Quanah hesitated. Fear and possibility wrestled across her face. Finally, she nodded. "I'll find one," she said quietly. As the woman left, Vandra closed her eyes. She still might die. But for the first time since the doctor spoke, she felt something else rise above the fear control. They said the surgery might kill her. But Vandra St. James had already survived the moment that mattered most, discovering who her husband really was. By the next afternoon, everything moved fast. Quanah returned with news. A signing agent who handled hospital calls could be there by evening. The doctor agreed to document that Vandra was of sound mind. With trembling fingers, Vandra called her son Trayvon and told him to come immediately. She didn't explain everything, just enough to make him get on a plane. When the notary arrived, crisp and professional, Vandra spoke with surprising clarity. She rewrote her will and power of attorney carefully, deliberately. Her son would inherit the brownstone. The lake house would be shared with her niece. Quanah would receive a savings account, enough to change her life. And Drayton, he would get only what the law required. Nothing more. The notary asked if she was sure about leaving money to a non-relative. Vandra didn't hesitate. "Sometimes strangers show up when family fails," she said. When it was done, Vandra felt lighter, as if something toxic had finally drained out of her. Quanah stood guard the entire time, silent and loyal. When the papers were filed, Vandra thanked her not with grand speeches, but with truth. That evening, Drayton returned. He noticed the shift immediately. When he heard about the notary, panic flickered across his face before he masked it. He tried to pry to sound casual, but Vandra gave him nothing. Just calm. Just ambiguity. The next morning, Trayvon arrived, wrapping her in careful arms, his voice thick with fear and love. Together, they talked about the surgery, about life, about things left unsaid for too long. For the first time in days, Vandra felt fully seen. The surgery was scheduled at dawn. The operating room lights were blinding. Voices faded. Then there was nothing. When Vandra woke, pain greeted her first, deep, heavy, undeniable. But so did breath. Real breath. A nurse smiled and told her she'd made it through the hardest part. She was alive. Recovery was slow and brutal. Days blurred into weeks. Rehab tested her patience and strength, but each step down the hallway felt like a quiet victory. Trayvon stayed close. Quanah checked in when she could, no longer just a cleaner, but part of Vandra's story. Drayton visited too less often, more awkwardly. His smiles didn't hide his disappointment anymore. He hovered, waiting, hoping the outcome might still tilt his way. But the documents were filed. The future was no longer his to claim. One afternoon, as he sat by her bed, Drayton congratulated her on surviving. The words sounded hollow. "You're going to have to wait," Vandra said softly. "I'm not going anywhere just yet." He didn't argue. He couldn't buy the time she was discharged. Vandra understood something she hadn't before. Time feels different when it truly belongs to you. Whether she had years or only a few seasons left, they would be lived on her terms, free from quiet betrayal. Free from someone else's countdown. Kindness, she learned, always arrives unexpectedly. Cruelty usually wears a familiar face. And as Vandra stepped back into the world, weaker but wiser, she knew this much for certain. Her life, every remaining moment of it, was finally, completely hers. Thanks for watching till end. Please like and subscribe my channel. I will be very thankful to you. Sometimes life takes turns we never expect. Every person in this story carried their own pain, their own choices, and their own consequences. Maybe you saw yourself in one of them, or maybe it reminded you of someone you once knew. What do you think happened next? What would you have done if you were in their place? If you have any questions about what happened to the other characters, or if you want me to share more about them, just comment below. I read every message you leave, and your thoughts truly mean a lot to me. And if this story touched your heart, inspired you, or even made you think differently, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me keep sharing stories that move people, open minds, and remind us we're all human. At the end of the day, your support keeps these stories alive. Thank you for watching, for feeling, and for being part of this journey. More powerful stories are coming soon. Stay tuned and stay kind.